So Kari Lake has lost yet again. The United States Supreme Court rejected her appeal, challenging the use of various voting machines in the Arizona 2022 governor election. She is just like Donald Trump. She couldn't accept defeat. And ever since then, she's been peddling one conspiracy theory after the next. And now she's lost yet again, which I'm sure will just lead to more conspiracy theories about how that she's being silenced and no one is hearing her side. That's just the typical MAGA shtick these days. And, we talk a lot about Kari Lake, but we probably don't talk about her enough because there's low-hanging fruit like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz. There's so many of them out there that are just right there easy to pick at. But, man, Kari Lake is not far behind them. Hell, she may be inching ahead of them in a lot of ways when it comes to the conspiracy theory rabbit holes and just the radical ideology. I want you guys to take a look at this clip here where she's actually worried that Hillary Clinton will send a hitman after her. Yeah, this is for real. Check it out.
Kari, you were a longtime news anchor, member of the media. You see the lies, right, that the left spews. They spew it every day about President Trump, that he wants to be a dictator. They purposely edit a soundbite, and they leave out the part where he says, yeah, I want to be a dictator. I want to drill, drill, drill. I want to secure the border. And then, of course, they prop up people like Hillary Clinton. And here she is in another desperate attempt to stay relevant. She was on a podcast with Democrat election lawyer Mark Elias yesterday. I want you to take a listen to this.
We haven't talked much about the international arena, but, his bromance with Putin, and it was actually called that, I think, by the former prime minister of Australia, who said he saw Trump with Putin and Trump was like, just gaga over Putin. Because Putin does what he would like to do: kill his opposition, imprison his opposition, drive, journalists and others into exile, rule without any check or balance. That's what Trump really wants.
Kari.
Oh, boy. Oh, that's really rich coming from a woman like Hillary Clinton, how many of her friends have just mysteriously died or committed suicide? I mean, honestly, and that's rich of her. What President Trump wants is to root out the corruption and deliver our government back to we the people. And she looks very nervous. She talked about her friend Mark Elias. Mark Elias has meddled in his cohorts have meddled in the elections. They continue to meddle in the elections in Arizona. The Soros attorneys, they know they can't win on their policies because their policies, the Democrat policies, are destructive, deadly, and frankly, in some ways, diabolical. And so they know they can't win on that, and they have to try every other measure to try to control the government. And it's almost comical that Hillary Clinton is talking about Trump wanting to kill his opponents. I just want to say, as I'm speaking about this topic, I want everyone out there to know that my brakes on my car have recently been checked and they work. I'm not suicidal. And Hillary, I don't mean any harm to you. Please don't send your henchmen out to me. We understand what you're about, and we know what President Trump wants to do.
I've said many times that conspiracy theories are becoming a brand in and of themselves. I meet people all the time that'll say, yeah, man, I'm big into conspiracy theories. I study them all, as though one has anything to do with the other. But in their world, in the world of a conspiracy theorist, they can make them all fit. They can weave all of them together to make it this one big plot that's out to destroy their life, and they can even pinpoint it down and point and say that it's anyone's fault. It's easy to do. It's a lazy way of thinking, and it's a very easy way to just pretend like you're the smartest guy in the room. I could sit here and I could create conspiracy theories all day long. I could just have a complete field day with it, and I could say, I know something they don't want you to know. I overheard something they were saying. They never tell you who they is. They's mysterious, but they told me this, only I know, and now I'm trying to tell you, and they're going to try to silence me for telling you. I posted a video about it. The video got took down because it was misinformation, but I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that it was because they were trying to silence me, that them fact-checking me was just liberal propaganda, and they were all out to get me. Oh, and by the way, there's a guy out there who, if he hears me say this, he's going to have a problem with it. So if something were to happen to me, just remember, I knew something you weren't supposed to know. Then I could just randomly drop dead one day, just randomly die in the most random way ever. and people could make it fit and go, see, that's what Brando was telling us about. He tried to warn us. They got him. And then they could take that and they could tie it over here and tie it over there, and they could bring it back to Hillary Clinton somehow. They could always make it about her. She's easy to just always circle back to because she has been the villain in MAGA's world for years. She is one of their top villains they will always go back to, and they will always try to get everyone afraid of. But as far as this conspiracy theorist mindset goes, yes, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous kind of rhetoric, and it's dangerous that our politicians are embracing it and that they're peddling it, because the more they embrace and peddle this shit, the more powerful it all becomes. But you got to remember that these type of people with this kind of mindset also has some very radical political views. And we have watched Kari Lake flip-flop on this whole abortion thing. She was all for the 1864 abortion ban. Remember, we did a video about it. She was all for it. Then when it passed, she said that it wasn't a good idea and that we had to come up with something else. And now she's right back out there. No sooner, I checked, that video was just a couple of weeks ago. No sooner than we said that, she's already back out there supporting it. And she's telling women, hey, if you want an abortion, just travel to California. Just go 3 hours this way or 3 hours that way. You can still get one. Take a look at this clip.
Even if we have a restricted law here, you can go 3 hours that way, 3 hours that way, and you're going to be able to have an abortion. We have to start looking at the minds and hearts of women and showing them that they can be allowed.
Okay, so let's stop and think about this one for a minute. They love to say that they're the party of limited government, the Republicans. We're the party of limited government. We want less government in your lives. Yet they're all for the government controlling what a woman does with her body. And they say to her, well, just go to a different state if you don't like it. Because now it's become a states' rights issue. I'm going to argue this to the death. It's not a states' rights issue. It's a women's rights issue. That's what it is. And they shouldn't have to travel from state to state to get the reproductive health care that they need. You want to sit and talk about this as, we're the land of the free. That's the freest country in the world. But this state over here, they're going to make it less free, and you'll just have to deal with that. It's completely backwards. Their whole way of thinking. I've never seen an ideology that is so easy to pin down and point out the hypocrisy. I mean, theirs is like pristine, man. It's like you can look at their ideology and you just go, man, this is the absolute easiest thing I've ever tried to pick apart. I've actually had to work to find chinks in other people's armor. But when it comes to a MAGA Republican, they wear them right out on their sleeve, man. They're right there for you to just go, yep, there's one, and there's another, and there's another. And it just goes on and on. But I absolutely loved Gavin Newsom, governor of California. I loved his response when he was asked about Kari Lake, saying that, yeah, just go to California if you need one. Take a look at this one.
Another person who's kind of attempting to change, soften, shift, chameleon, whatever you want to call it, their stance is one of Arizona's more well-known Republicans, Senate candidate Kari Lake. I mean, she initially praised the state's abortion measure from 1864 as a great law, but now she says the state Supreme Court decision to revive it is out of step with the people of her state. She's been joking about people putting on Glocks. That's a separate but related issue. What do you make of her evolving stance on this?
Person of remarkable character and conviction with, compelling moral authority that puts her finger to the wind and moves with the prevailing winds, please. Her integrity has the form and substance, dare I say, you see the Golden Gate Bridge behind me, of fog. I don't take much of what she says at face value. I mean, she basically said last week that people, don't worry about any 1864 bans in Arizona. You can all go to California. You can all go to a neighboring state. We took that quite literally and quite seriously, but she can't be taken quite literally or respectively quite seriously.
You can't take her seriously because 1 minute she says one thing, the next minute she says another. I've never seen anyone change so much. And it reminds me of back when I was growing up. You guys remember Ross Perot? Ross Perot was like a third-party candidate that was in the 1992 election with George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton. He was actually doing okay for the most part. I mean, he was starting to gather a following. And then he just made the decision he didn't want to run because he said that it was affecting his family. I think they had reported some stories about his daughter or something, and it upset him. So he said, you know what, I'm out of the race. A couple of weeks later, he decided, you know what, I won't back in the race. I think I'll go ahead and give this a try anyway. People crucified the guy for that. Oh, he's too undecisive. He can't make up his mind. We can't have a guy like that as the leader of the free world that can't make up his mind. And yet we have Kari Lake out here and so many of these MAGA Republicans who just change on a dime to fit whatever is going on that day. Now, I can see a corrupt politician, a con artist, and a grifter doing something like that. So it makes sense that Kari Lake would do it. But what I don't understand is how they do it, and their audience just jumps right through the hoop with them every time. I can't count the number of movies that I've watched, the number of TV shows that I've watched, where some slick talking grifter would come to town. And he would have a swagger, and he would win the town over. And I mean, even Andy Griffith did episodes like this. They would win the town over. Even Aunt Bee loved him, you know. And then at the end of the show, they would realize that they had been conned. Someone would point it out. Someone would point out that they said this and then said that, and it would just be one thing, and that one thing would bring this person down, and they would show the sheriff leading them away, and everybody with their head dropped, and, well, yeah, we got played. And I keep waiting for a moment like that to happen in the real world, and it ain't happening. They just keep going with it. Whatever she says. I don't get it. Like, I truly... I don't understand. I understand the grifting politician doing it because, hey, at this point, I mean, if you're Kari Lake and you realize, you know what, I can say anything. My audience ain't going to hold me accountable for shit. All I got to do, I can say today that I love chocolate ice cream, that it's the greatest in the world, and tomorrow I can just sit and pour it down a drain somewhere and grab vanilla and tell them I love vanilla, and they will drink it too with me, and they'll go right with it. It would be easy to be Kari Lake. That would be the easiest gig ever because you would never have to be held accountable to your voters. They just go right with you. It's nuts. It's nuts that people just goes with that. And like I said so many times, they get so much more upset at people like us when we point it out than they do when they get duped. What sense does it make in what world?